Easy Fox in Fulham, London's friendliest pub with its own bear wall. Guys, have you seen the bear wall yet?
The bear wall? Yes, I have.
The Wall of Bear. It is one of the greatest inventions of all time, where you can pretend to try and pour your own pint, but fail miserably. But it's always worth a try. This is the latest episode of Disorderly Conduct. On tonight's show, we'll be talking boats, we'll be talking disaster, and at the end of the show, we may talk about Star Wars and all the other trailers that have come out this week and got me excited. But as I can see from some people at the table, they're not even slightly bothered. Guys, welcome to Disorderly Conduct. I'm joined by my co-hosts today. If you can all introduce yourselves to the audience, I'd be highly grateful.
Howdy, my name's Chris.
Why is everyone laughing at Chris?
His voice.
Normal voice.
My name's Carline. Hello.
I'm Rachel.
And I'm Sonny.
Welcome, guys. I know you all love to talk, which is why you've travelled all the way here. Okay, we've got truly, I'd like to call it, if they could call baseball international, I think we can call Disorderly Conduct today international, because we've got people from around the world, or at least bits of the world inside them. I don't know.
International.
Well, they've got the World Series. The World Series, don't they?
Just American.
Yes, of course.
100% international.
And that's one thing British people like to say to Americans all the time.
To make up for Americans' football presence, clearly.
Yeah,
it's like soccer.
We have football.
Soccer.
Well, not real football.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get to that later. Let's this is the first American we've had on the show. Can we not give her grief? Come on, what is this?
You started it.
Anyway, so
yeah,
it's hard to do these shows sometimes because I do like to keep it humorous, but obviously, as you know, today, yesterday, there was a massive boat in the Mediterranean that capsized. 700 people died. The British sent out 5 advisors to help. Advisors to help.
They went out to the boat and kind of definitely.
Yep, it has capsized.
It's been tragic images. But while I was on my way here, another report came out that another boat capsized with 400 people. Migrants have been a big story in the news recently a lot. UKIP has been literally whipping the election scene into fury.
They're going to Italy.
UKIP.
What a lot of people don't know is most
North America, North Africa, Libya. That's where they're from. The people smugglers.
You're trying to get out, Curtis. You're saying that cruise ships are holding.
No. These ships are usually either like they're bought ships or stolen ships. Nobody really knows. But what a lot of people don't know is this has been happening for quite a while. And the situation is so people smugglers bring people into Italy from the Mediterranean. They come in via Italy and then go everywhere. And some of them end up in Calais, which is on the news a lot. And you see them trying to get into boats and cars to get over to the UK. UKIP has been making a lot of hay about the fact that we've got a very high rate of immigration coming into the UK. I did a little bit of research, and the UK isn't particularly high on the list. Germany gets more, France gets more.
The mainland will get more, yeah.
Yeah, and we get a lot, but not that much. How do you guys see on the situation? I think, the UK is a big country. Although people say there's not a lot of room, it's more infrastructure isn't that good.
There's not a lot of room in London. That's what people seem to forget. When you go outside of London, you don't see a huge amount, outside of London, Birmingham and Liverpool.
Big cities.
Yeah, you go outside of the main cities, everyone's white and everyone's pretty much pretty poor. There isn't, especially the further north you go.
Be careful of your words. If you say the north is poor...
North.
It can be...
It's not totally true.
It's not totally true. Obviously, that's a huge sweeping statement. But when you look at the way the country is divided in terms of
there's definitely
where
more
the money
in
is
London,
and where people are going to go if they don't know England, if they need to find some job where they're not going to be looked at too funny, they're not going to go somewhere where there isn't any other foreign people and it's difficult for them to get by.
I don't know. I think London, you get a lot of people are travelling to cities like Manchester, Leeds. There's lots of foreigners. They get moved around a lot, especially if they're immigrants. They'll come in, they'll go wherever the work is. At the moment, a lot of that is actually up north. But funnily enough, UK's biggest support bases and everywhere with very few immigrants. The places with the most immigrants, least UKIP support, and that's London.
UKIP's idea of immigration policy is laughable. I mean, to suggest leaving the EU when you have, millions, literally, people either employed by about to be employed by, being educated by, trained by, or in general just involved with European-based companies like a lot of car companies and manufacturers, to then say to leave that and change the way the tax laws work and change that, because I can go to Austria or Germany or wherever and work there without permits, right? The rules go both ways, and Germany economically is just as strong as we are. They're doing fine. There's no reason that British people couldn't go to Germany and work.
Yeah, a lot of British people are there.
One of the only companies who wasn't massively affected by the recession was the Volkswagen Group. They were making a profit throughout.
Well, that's only because they literally bought everything.
They owned everything already. They owned everything originally.
The Germans
Volkswagen
just went,
Group.
you know what,
They own Audi, Seat, Skoda, Bentley, Lamborghini, Bugatti, and they own a controlling share in Porsche thanks to the recession.
And they own a Mini, don't they?
No, that's BMW.
It's a mean German, but same difference.
Well, it's a matter of I used to work for Volkswagen, and I went to this like induction kind of day thing, and they were just showing us like, look, in the recession, they were still turning over profit. They were still selling more than what they were expected.
Which brings me to my next part.
It's the best part. Immigration isn't the problem. Immigration is great because like I work with so many people who come from loads of different companies, like loads of different countries. Sorry, so you got Hungary, Poland, everywhere in Eastern Europe, but then Australians, like people in New Zealand, all over South Africa, and people come over here legally, pay tax, have jobs. It's great. The problem is illegal, which is just
That's still not necessarily
like no, I mean it's like that's what makes everything go, and then it stems to a lot of it's cash work, and then there's like kind of in London you've got the housing situation problem where you've got so many people, there's not enough houses. Yeah, great, but then people say like without taking the jobs, you get a lot of people in England who are English who don't have jobs and are just, like sponging off of benefits.
I've heard that before, but again, the people that are supporting UKIP don't have lots of foreigners in their area. It's not like they're seeing these people come along and take loads of their jobs. Even though on Facebook, everybody keeps saying Birmingham. Now, I've only passed by Birmingham. Has anybody been to Birmingham?
Not for a while.
not lately, no.
But everybody keeps going, Birmingham's literally been taken over, and I don't get this.
So Birmingham, you know, it's like London. Well, not like London, obviously, but it's mixed. It's a big population, the mixture of people. There's a lot of things happening. We've got this really big centre which I went to a couple of months ago. I think. So what was the question? Sorry, I was. Sorry, I went.
I think I said, what's your view on the situation with immigrants, and also, is there actually an answer? You know, everybody keeps going for a points-based system, but I don't see how that helps with illegal immigrants.
There was that American politician who said there was parts of the UK that were
entirely
basically Muslim-run, Muslim-dominated, and that English people wouldn't even go there, and the police wouldn't even. And it's like such as Birmingham.
He hasn't even been to England. What did he know?
The whole of Birmingham.
Yeah.
What funny you should mention?
Birmingham is
the whole of New York is taken over by
That was
American
Fox,
Italians.
anyway.
Hold on.
That's where a massive thing.
We actually have one of our co-hosts is actually American, apparently. Rachel, how long have you been over here for?
About 4 days.
4 days.
Yeah.
Fun.
How have you found it so far?
Judging by that tone, it was very judgmental.
What's your view on the older immigrants thing? Because being from America, I see a lot of American news, and they seem quite obsessed.
We're very into the immigration issue, but mostly we don't really talk about other countries. We don't really like to acknowledge that other countries have issues. We like to
Or
talk
exist,
about,
really.
Yeah.
The reason you guys do that is because when you do talk about other countries, you say stuff like the entire of Birmingham is owned by exclusively. And everyone goes,
I refuse. Look, in her defence, I refuse to believe that all Americans are like that. Otherwise, she wouldn't be here.
Not all Americans.
No.
Plenty of them that are in power, are they?
Yeah.
There's clearly a huge amount of ignorance at the top level.
There's a lot of ignorance. I feel like they're trying to appeal to a lot of the lower levels, though, by like, oh, we're on the same level of you. We're just as ignorant as you all are.
That's unique to American politics. Well, no, actually saying that happens a lot over here as well. Instead of going for, do you know what, I'm a smart guy, I can run the country, everybody starts going, do you know what, I'm just like you guys. I've gone through it all.
Do you watch Black Mirror?
That show, I've seen bits before, but I don't think I watched the latest season.
The latest seasons, it's not as good as the first two, but it's very, very good. But there's one episode where this guy plays a cartoon rabbit as a comedy show, which isn't hugely out there as far as sci-fi shows go.
No.
And what he does is he gets involved. He's kind of like a political comedian, a satirist, and people start listening to him at some point. And then they decide, wouldn't it be a fun publicity stunt for the show if the character ran for office? And he was purely anarchistic. He had no real values apart from, screw everyone who's actually currently in power. Let's just do what we want, kind of thing. And then he wins, and that's kind of the way the episode develops.
Sort of like the rise of UKIP.
Yeah, well, that's what it is. It's like we don't have a lot of faith, or a lot of people don't have a lot of faith in, despite people seem to think it's very easy to run England. Like, you can just put someone in power and they won't make any mistakes, and that they're not humans trying with their own goals and their own development tactics.
They're all lying bastards.
Yeah. But I don't think people set out, well, maybe it's my own bias, because when it comes to a couple of parties, I do think that they set out specifically to mislead people. But I don't think every politician sets out to mislead people. I don't think every party has the same goals in terms of heading forward. With immigration, it's not something that you can just solve with a blanket policy like, let's let none of them in. Because it won't.
I
if the
agree.
people come in illegally, they're going to still come in illegally.
I very much agree with you, and I think part of the problem is that anything they say now, let's say the UK economy does get better, there'll be jobs. And people go where the jobs are. It doesn't matter if you put whatever rules down. If somebody needs to earn some money, they're going where the jobs
and
are.
If they can't find jobs, where they go? Because you're not talking about people coming from a country or a situation where they're economically unviable, like someone who's overqualified to do a job or something. You're talking about desperate people. They will go where other people are, because even if the jobs aren't legit, there will be something for them to do. Like in Japan, you have a huge amount of African work tourists who go and work in the sex trade because there's work there, and they don't necessarily have to be legally viable to do it.
My opinion is, if you're willing to risk life and limb, drowning, death, sex trade, and abuse to get to somewhere like the UK, and then deal with more abuse, being told you're not wanted and generally treated like crap, hey, that guy can't be considered lazy. I mean, it's not a short journey. You're travelling quite a fair way to get to the UK.
It's the knock-on effects there as well. I mean, you have the argument has always been that yes, it's great that people will come over here and do the jobs that most British people generally do not want to do. It does help to have an immigrant workforce, and it always has.
It helps hugely. You just have to get on a train at 6 a.m. and they're all going to work, or you're travelling home at night at 10 o'clock and they're all just about heading home or heading to work.
Yeah.
And if they stopped working, I dread to think what would happen.
Well, that's the thing. If they kicked out everyone who shouldn't be here,
the English are too snobby to do.
I think there's a joke, the American joke, that if all the Mexicans left or went on strike, America would grind to a standstill. I think some parts of London would actually be like that as well.
I'll tell you what, we watched Fight Club last night, and you've just reminded me of that line. Have you seen Fight Club, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's seen Fight Club, yeah?
The one with Brad Pitt.
What's the first rule?
Yeah.
Right.
The one with Brad Pitt.
What is the first rule?
The first rule? Well, we're going to talk about it. I'm sorry. We're going to... No, but there's a scene when they confront the police commissioner, and they go, we drive your cars, we guard you while you sleep. Just the average human being and how much power that average human being has. The scrub level person who works in a call center, or like just does the things that the rich person who calls through to us and needs tickets for Gypsy immediately. They don't understand. They rely on me to do that for them. I could just not. And they won't be able to do this.
They could go online.
Yeah. No, they can't.
Do you reckon that's part of the problem, is that people do feel powerless, and a lot of English people feel a bit powerless, even though they're by far the majority, like,
and incredibly empowered if they know.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? It's like, it's not like there's an immigrant in immigrant prime minister, or a police chief commissioner, or something like that. It's like immigrants are doing certain levels of jobs and they're in certain levels of society and community, but yet the majority feel quite powerless and concerned that that thing called, what's it called? British culture is being destroyed.
British culture. That's an interesting term.
What is that though?
I don't know.
Culture is a mix of every culture that we've either dominated or invaded.
Yeah, I did argue with someone once. I got in a really bad argument with someone in a pub because they said they were 100% white British, and I said, so why do you live here and not Finland? Is that what you mean? Well, that's where the people who originally took over England are now gone and in another country, and then the people who took over after that that are also gone and in another country. There are no direct descendants of British people. You got maximum 4 or 5 generations.
Well, if you go back further enough, the Gaelic are now just virtually like some parts of Ireland. Do you know that there's more Welsh people in Argentina than there is in Wales?
More Welsh people in Argentina than Wales.
Yeah.
Is that kind of like how there's probably more British people in Spain than Spanish people?
Probably. That's great, man. All the Spaniards are left. They're working over there.
Irish people in America than there are in Ireland.
Really?
Well, that came to be American. I don't know.
Irish.
Apparently, Barack Obama's part Irish as well.
Yeah,
He's part everything.
Just because he drank a Guinness once doesn't make him Irish.
I don't know. But anyway,
Part. Everyone's got some blood somewhere.
Obama is just pure America, though.
Yeah, it's just the most American. It's change. Oh my God, it's change.
he's had a hard run. But credit to the Americans. They've got Barack Obama. We've got
The Australians have got a female prime minister.
No, not anymore.
not anymore. They traded him for a guy that's giving George Bush a run for his money.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Huh?
Isn't that dude Welsh? Or
No. Their former prime minister was
former
Welsh.
woman
Female.
was Welsh.
But yeah, he's giving George Bush a run for his money by his absolute stupidity. But he may get elected again come the Australian
So he's
elections.
genuinely giving George Bush a run for his money.
His level of
Mess
stupidity
everything up
is-
and get elected again. Yes. Which is what we are looking like with the Tories, by the way.
Well, you never know. It's been a strange year in politics. SNP lost the fight for independence, but they're more popular than ever. And that's a party promising to deliver something, not delivering it, but everybody loves them. Everybody in
Not
Scotland,
you.
apparently. Yeah. And now we've got a situation where we might be approaching another hung parliament. We might have, what is it, Gromit? No, sorry, Ed Miliband. Gromit. Is it Wallace and Gromit? I can't remember. Wallace. So he might soon be our next Prime Minister, supported by the SNP, although people keep scaring people about that.
He always rejects
Politicians always say lots of things, and there's Clegg learned. Be careful what you do.
I did try to explain that situation to Rachel. It's like, oh yeah, they said they're not gonna raise student fees, and then literally in the first year they didn't raise them a bit. They tripled them.
And he didn't just do that. He did that on camera, where before the end of the election he went, yeah, we're going to have to jettison the fee thing. And students are the Liberal Democrats' biggest supporters.
Yeah.
And they got filmed to do it. Somewhere had a camera phone out going, yeah, watching this. Gave it to the news. That was the end of Nick Clegg. I know that was it. That was when it was all over for them. But I think Nick Clegg's a nice guy.
Why they had enough votes to be able to be in the coalition.
I don't know.
All the students who bought into their bullshit.
Yeah, I bought into it. I was significantly younger when I bought into it, but I bought into it.
Now you feel resentment and rage.
Now you're older, I'm sure.
No, not really.
Have you registered to vote?
No. And I have an interesting I have friends who are very politically minded and very into it, but I haven't registered to vote. I plan to, within the next 1 or 2 years, I plan to leave the country permanently. So I have no real
To live west?
I actually don't know.
America.
Yet. Possibly. America.
Australia.
I'm going to study in America this year. So
Rachel, what have you done to him?
Finland. Going to Finland.
Taking our young talent, moving abroad. What is this?
You see, the American Defense Department has been developing all these new mind control chips.
Explain
And
so much.
I work for one of the elite divisions of them, so it's
Superb.
good practice.
Breaking Bad.
It works.
Netflix.
He's not just intelligent, but handsome too. Yes, bring him alongside. Yes.
It's just I don't see the situation here getting better anytime soon. In terms of the trend of people.
What's not happening for you?
What's not happening for me in England?
That would make what would happen
My
for you to
industry, the IT
Which
industry
is-
specifically,
Okay.
is a bit stagnant. Is a bit curtailed by a very small level of highly skilled workers who all moved to America at the start of kind of the big revolutionary period. They all moved to Silicon Valley and did startups and all that stuff.
Sorry, I thought you meant in 1886 or whenever the American
But
Revolution was.
just chasing
It's like
money.
they all moved. How long have you been alive? Sonny, you look incredibly young.
Thanks, buddy.
No, but do you know what? But when I was growing up, that was a dream for a lot of immigrants that came here. You'd come to the UK, learn English, study for a bit, and then go to America America.
That's not a bad plan.
But then the American wisened up to it. The Americans wisened up and went, no, we don't want any more of you bombs. That's it. But no, that's quite interesting that you're saying that. That used to be the dream for everybody to go to the States and work there as opposed to being
I mean,
here.
it wasn't necessarily the States. Originally, the plan was Japan, and then I went to Japan and saw the work culture. And that's a place where immigration is very interesting because they have 1% of the Japanese population speaks English, and 1% of the Japanese population, I think it's closer to like 3 or 4% now, is actually foreign, because they can't stay. They don't stay because they go there and they see this work lifestyle where people are working 90 hours a week.
Well, Japan's a strange place, full stop. It's like their population. I think now 1 in 5 people, or 1 in 4, is a pensioner.
They have a very aged population. They also have people not getting married and focusing exclusively on careers.
Well, people not even having sex. Apparently, that was a thing. People have now stopped having any sort of noise.
Having a baby.
No, it's not that. They just want to play their computer games.
I think that's what it is. Computer games and weed.
It's more you should have no. There's no.
I've seen some of those boys. They're getting hold of it. They're getting high somehow.
No, it's just a computer
They might
games.
be, but it's a very weed in Japan carries very serious. Like if I was caught with a single joint, that's border like a year immediately. There's no.
Really?
I only was holding it in my hand for a friend. They don't care.
Look, I've seen Japanese manga and porn, and they put you in prison for weed.
Well, yeah, they put you in
Most
prison
of
for
their
everything.
porn's censored.
But you have to remember as well, their porn, it's censored. You can't, it might seem crazy
It's
because there's
illegal to show
octopuses and crap,
aroused
but you can't
genitalia.
actually show genitals.
Son, let me just say one thing, right? Censored or not, that shit's fucked up.
But that's
A lot of it's staged.
Did you not see that camp?
Are you talking about the real life
The
stuff?
karaoke thing.
Yeah, that's all staged. All that shit is just like comedy TV.
Staged or not, that's still who thought that up? Yeah, we're gonna do a comedy sketch. Your guy trying to do karaoke, and this
Person who
girl's
thought
gonna
up the
knock you
film
out.
Old Boy.
Like, anyway, so
Like anything produced by Japan,
Boys
like they're
Korean.
It
obviously
is
not
Korean.
smoking weed because they're just like it's all so energized and weed would
Intense.
just be so counterintuitive. Mellow them out too much, they wouldn't get any work done. And they wouldn't have any of their like ridiculous high energy porn
be so-
and like.
So far advanced in
I
technology.
agree, but
They're not though.
There's something
That's
messed
the
up.
really creepy thing about Japan is I was going there expecting like space tech, right? And which a lot of foreigners do. And you go there and it's like most of the buildings don't have lifts, and their
Really?
websites look like they were done in 1992. And the reason they look like that is because every programming language in the world is written in English. I reiterate that 1% of the Japanese population can speak English. So to then learn a program language in a language you don't speak, it's like doubly hard. So most of them don't bother.
Well, if I could, I'm going to focus on Rachel here for a second.
To just staying.
Now, Sonny said he's not voting. Did you vote? Were you old enough to vote in your previous elections?
No, I just turned old.
Lord of mercy, they're making them young. How old are you? In fact, don't tell me. I'm already depressed. Now, in the nenext elections that are coming up, then, are you going to be able to vote in them?
Oh yeah,
Are you going to vote?
I am planning to vote.
Can I ask who you would vote for?
Well, in the presidential election,
Yeah.
definitely Hillary.
Okay. That's all right. Hillary's nice.
She
Bill's awesome. I don't know if I'd let him back into the White House, but cool.
I mean, they haven't got the stains out from last time we were there yet, so we should.
Oh, she's not amused by
Get rid
that.
of
No, it's
my
quite
image.
interesting because Hillary, you're quite young. Hillary apparently has got most of the support at the moment
very
from
young
people.
support base. Also, she's been trying to appeal to most of the minority groups in the country, and she's not doing a very good job of attempting to appeal to any of the other like older, more prominent groups.
She
but
don't need to.
She has such a big support base with the young people and the minorities.
What about if you would you right? Just so I know, are the Republicans then the other side as batshit crazy as they seem to be, or is it just the news making them seem like that?
Yes and no.
Because I heard a few of them deny evolution, which scared the shit out of me.
There's the big debate right now.
All
We
your
have
creationism friends, eh?
probably 4 big debates debates right now, and
Okay.
it's kind of terrifying which
the
end of the
dinosaurs.
spectrum you kind of have to fall on. But we have reproductive rights,
Right.
which end up tying into religion, which then ties into evolution for some reason. Gun control, which is terrifying.
Hey,
There's-
guns.
Some people want to arm everyone in our nation, which, if you consider a city, New York is 2 times the size of London, and consider if everybody has access to concealed weapons
Do you
in a
know what?
city that size.
You say that, but I reckon if everybody had access to concealed weapons in London, more people would die than they probably would die in New York. Because Londoners are crazy. I've seen arguments kick off over like, you bumped into me. You stepped on my shoe. You took my child off. It'd just be slaughter.
Oh, there's 2 stories I've seen in on like Facebook news articles and stuff. Like, what is it? There was these 3 guys. They went into like an elderly American's home. And it was like, all right. One guy was like, oh, my car's broken down. Can I have some water? He's like, yeah, no worries. Come in. And his 2 mates come in with ski masks. They hold him up and say, look, give us all your money or else we're going to rape your granddaughter. And he's got his granddaughter. and
You
his
do
wife.
know this is a comedy show, right?
No, I'm saying the dude went to his safe, opened it up where all his money was and where his gun was. He shot the 3 of them. They all ran, stole his car, went over. The 3 of them got caught. Well, one of them died in the car, and 2 of them went to a hospital and were caught at the hospital whilst they were trying to get treated for being shot. Which is okay. So people will see that. Oh, he had a gun. He saved his family. Yeah, great. But then, London, you had a guy, was it a 92-year-old man who was in the news the other day? He got robbed for the change in his wallet after a guy pretended to help him by carrying his bags home. As soon as he got into his tower block, beat the fuck out of him, stole his wallet, tried to steal his keys and stuff like that. And it's like, that was just disgraceful. If that guy had a gun, probably would have shot the old man to death.
So the argument that you're making is the arms race argument.
What are arms race? If London had, or if the UK had the similar arms policy to America, it would be terrible. Like, there are kids nowadays who have access to guns, and it's ridiculous. There are a
But
few
there's
people
always
in my
been kids
school
who've
There's always
had
been
who
access.
have been kicked out for having access to guns. But
But there's always, for the last
Yeah, but then if
50,
it was
60
legal-
years. No, but it's not the
No,
fact.
it's hard to draw a parallel too, though, just because you have such different, like, America itself is so huge relative.
I just mean in general, like I don't believe in the American policy for guns because you have so many of these just ridiculous attacks.
Before we drift off, though, can just what you said? There was the first point was reproductive rights. Second point was guns.
Oh gosh, I'm starting to forget where that was going.
Immigration. It must be immigration.
Immigration is huge, yeah. And I can't think of what the 4th one is anymore. I know it's probably, you could probably
Is it
draw.
drugs? Because I know Barack Obama came out today and went,
Make weed legal.
I'm going to try and support the legalization of weed.
It's hilarious that that's even an issue, really.
Oh, actually, yeah, drugs are probably our big.
Because I don't smoke weed. I've actually never even had a cigarette in my mouth, period. But I find the idea that you would restrict something that isn't any more harmful than the drinks that we've had now. The problem is obviously people who get too attached to it, right? But that's the same problem with
No, the
every
problem's
And it's
purity.
not as-
The problem's puritanism that the UK's always had, whether it's sex, drugs, or anything that means people are losing control or not like normal.
Rock and
so
roll.
yeah, rock and roll. They were mad at rock and roll, hip hop when it started. They wouldn't play hip hop on UK channels because apparently it was turning the kids black or something. I don't know, but yeah,
Can't have that.
We can't have that Negro-ness. Yeah, no. Wilfred, get Thatcher on the phone. It was kind of like that. They didn't like it, and then I think that's what it is. Because, like you said, weed is not that dangerous. Although I have seen the damaging effects of weed on people if they
don't
smoke
think
too much of
I-
it.
But at the same time,
don't think
it's
any-
But I
not
think
as
that's more to do with
harmful as
people than the
alcohol
drug.
or cigarettes,
How many people do
which
you
are
know who've
perfectly
seen?
legal.
Yeah, how many people do you know who've seen? Like, okay, so my dad had a brain hemorrhage when he was 23, which they suspect was possibly caused by things related to smoking weed. My mum had cancer when she was 26, maybe. My granddad died of cancer. None of the 2 people who had cancer never smoked weed, or very, very rarely.
Well, but
they
they-
just drank heavily and smoked a lot, right?
Which is more
But
likely,
both of those things are equally damaging in terms of like the in terms of health risks. You're not dealing with hugely different things.
Smoking a normal cigarette is probably more dangerous than anything else. And saying the problem with
I don't
cancer.
know how much I know about that.
The problem with cancer is that cancer, they don't necessarily know what causes it. They know the factors.
Well, it can be triggered.
That may induce
Everyone
it and
has
trigger it.
cancerous cells. It's what triggers
But
it.
they don't know
Trauma
exactly
can
what
trigger
it is.
it. Like
Bad
smoking
diet
can trigger it.
drinking,
dietary,
smoking,
like,
doing all of
whatever.
those things at once. Whereas I know people who are 90 years old and still smoke. You know what I mean?
I'm not saying that they unanimously lead to those things, but what I was saying was that we are so comfortable with the things that are socially normative. We're so comfortable with alcohol and cigarettes. I see them as I see cigarettes especially as a massive sign of weakness. I get alcohol because
thanks.
Yeah, I understand it because yeah, well,
I think a lot of it's education and what you've been exposed to growing up.
I don't think anyone starts smoking and thinks it's a good thing, though.
Like when I was growing up, the main bad issue that I was always told about weed from like teachers and adults, parents, whoever, is it's a gateway drug. You'll start doing weed, you'll do more, it won't give you the good high, and then you'll try something else.
But I think the really
and
big
eventually
thing
you'll end up on heroin in some street corner where. Okay, yeah, great. You can say that for the people who have very addictive personalities. So you'll have someone who'll, weed, having loads and loads and loads and loads of weed, and then eventually like, okay, so just a couple of spliffs doesn't do me anymore. They want to try something else. But you'll have someone who is completely level-headed. The occasional joint every now and then they'll smoke weed because it will relax them, and their entire life they'll go without any type of health issue or whatever. It's just a matter of how you use everything.
Well, let me take
Drink too much alcohol.
Let me, ladies and gents, take a quick poll round the table. Who would be in favour of the legalisation of weed?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah,
Definitely.
No.
why not?
Because it's because the links are like schizophrenia. That's what kind of makes me a bit worried.
People can be schizophrenic without weed.
No, it's just
Well, there can be things that trigger schizophrenia.
yeah, I know, but that for me, that is the thing. Was like because I got a friend of mine who's kind of on the border. So for me, I wouldn't. I mean, one part of me thinks it.
But that's one person out of
I know,
7.
true, but it's just you just don't know the factor. And that's for me is always no.
I'd go along the lines of, if you legalise it, it'd take all the fun out of it for me. So it wouldn't be great in that sense. But I don't know. I don't know. All I know is from research that says marijuana isn't dangerous. Yes, there can be some dangerous side effects, but on its own, weed is not the most dangerous thing in the world.
Medicine will give you schizophrenia.
And also, it's been
Yes.
proven to do people a lot more good than bad.
Yeah, if you're in a lot of pain, and therefore,
I don't think it's a big deal. I mean, so the argument that a couple of people have made, there's a lot of things that are a plant. Heroin's a plant, bro.
Cocaine.
Opium's a plant. Opium's a plant.
British Empire
You do a lot
built
more
on
than-
opium. Just saying.
Also built on tea.
Hong Kong.
The amount
yeah.
of anyway.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go
Reason why
into tea history,
Orientals
but
can't actually.
That's when we were proud of drugs.
Yeah.
Sorry, carry on.
But yeah, I mean, there was the argument that I've heard that I think made most sense to me is that weed isn't a gateway drug. Drug dealers are gateway drugs. The people who want you to buy more drugs aren't. Marijuana itself has no agenda. There's no need to push it. And if you make it legal, you don't have because they want you to get on the next thing, right? Weed is addictive as anything else that you enjoy, right? I mean, when I say to people, 2 weeks ago I bought a game and in 4 days I played 70 hours, and I say that to a lot of people and they're like, oh my god, you're addicted to playing video games. It's like, no, because now I don't play it anymore and now I'm done with it. I've played it, I blitzed through it, and now I'm fine. When I was younger I was addicted to video games, but not many people were in the rally for let's delegalize video gaming. But you can get addicted to anything you enjoy. There's not a huge marijuana isn't addictive because it's inherently addictive. It's addictive because you enjoy it. Whereas things like cocaine and heroin,
addicted to shit food.
Well, I mean, I know a couple of people who got addicted to heroin and have gone through rehab now, but they started off smoking weed, but it wasn't the weed itself. They weren't chasing a better high because it takes so long for your brain to develop a tolerance to marijuana. But typically, they'll be smoking it and they'll be hanging out with people people, they're like, oh, have you tried this other drug? And they're in a place where they're fairly vulnerable because they're high, and they're like, oh yeah, I'll totally try this, and that one hit is all it takes for them to be chasing another high. But it's not the high from the marijuana that gets them hooked. It's somebody's coming after them.
I only said about
when they're vulnerable, basically.
Like trying to find a new high. I've had a few mates who've literally discovered weed when they were really young and didn't really know what it was, and then it got to the point where I met them when they were 18 to 20 years old, and they literally couldn't go to sleep without having at least a joint a day. And it's like, when it gets to stuff like that, and it got to a point at the height of their use of weed,
That's also a
they
thing
were
with
doing like
age, though.
a quarter ounce a day.
That used to be me in Game of Thrones, mate.
Gotta watch an episode.
Yeah.
Can't sleep yet.
Don't worry,
10
look,
episodes of Game of Thrones will do less
guys,
damage.
we're going to
than a
wrap
quarter ounce of weed.
this episode of Disorderly Conduct up. If you're up for it, we may do another show afterwards if you have time. Times are running, so you might not. But guys, thank you so much for coming. It's the most appreciated. We done half an hour. It was meant to be 15 minutes, but we did half an hour of good conversation. And so, ladies and gentlemen, as I say always, this is Disorderly Conduct live from the Lazy Fox. I forgot to say my name at the top of the show, but for broadcasting purposes, it's CJ Rock, and I'm pleased you were all listening. Please leave your comments below, and always check out the website www.thenewestablishment.co.uk. And guys, say good night.
No.
Good night.
Good night.